And with the Un-Americans, which is what we're talking about, it really did
Yes.
make an attempt to kind of capture a lot of worldwide anti-American sentiment, but also in America create them as bad guys. And it started without you. It started with Lance
Mm.
Storm, Christian, and Test, and you at the time were teaming with Christopher Nowinski.
Yes.
It's almost like you're, put in a role to bring along a young fellow. What can you tell
Yeah,
us
that was my
about
job.
Mr. Nowinski previous to him becoming, a very worldwide expert on
Yeah.
concussions and all that? What was it like as a young wrestler? What was he like?
Nice lad. Obviously very intelligent. Just, in case you haven't heard this before, when I came back to the WWE in 2000, I was under no illusions. First of all, when Jim Ross brought me in and said, right, you will be in Memphis Championship Wrestling for 6 months, which is exactly how long I was there. And then you'll start on the main roster. First conversation I had with Mr. McMahon when I came, I was actually doing dark matches and live event matches for the month of August before I debuted in the September of 2000. And the first conversation I had with him, which stayed all the way through my actual wrestling career, Mr. McMahon said to me, he sees, has an incredible way of seeing where he wanted people or how he saw them. Whatever anybody's view of that, that's his choice because it's his company. And he looked at me, and I just assume as a workhorse wrestler, which is a pro, who's somebody who's no problem. Yes, I'd been in some problems when he'd met me before, but enough people knew me and knew that it was a short time. And so he's got what, and I don't know, you'd have to ask him, but his vision of what I can do. And it was, and again, there's very few people that are not a problem when it comes to wrestling. As far as, can you do this? Yes. And if you know that they can have a certain skill set, which is either make people look good or wrestle anybody, maybe not the best match on the card, but it's, that they can do the job and they are no problems whatsoever and don't give you any grief and not trying to make themselves world champion all the time or not trying to just what I was brought in to do. The people who taught me to be a pro. So there's very few people like that, right? So I was 31 or whatever at the time. Mr. McMahon said to me, whenever I've got a good role for you, you'll be in it. And when that role has run its course, you will be working on live events, probably helping people along or just having whatever kind of match I need you to have. That was our handshake agreement. And if you look back at my career, that's exactly how it played out.
For sure.
When I had some incredibly memorable roles. As far as entertainment goes, I'm supposed to be some people, again, nowadays, I don't know, because it's such a long time ago. I've been here so long. As a technical wrestler. Some people only know me as an entertainer. Some people might not know me or just see me doing 6-minute matches with a star or somebody trying to be made into a star. I did whatever I was asked to do, but the roles that I was given, because I'd adapted and learned a lot of skills along the way. That was one of it. I could wrestle with anybody. I could bring people along. I could talk. I could do comedy. I could do all these different things. And at the end of it, whoever was on with me, it didn't matter what I did. It looked as credible as it could be, if that makes any sense.
Sure.
So one of those roles at the time, there's two that I can think of straight off the top of my head, which was with Chris Nowinski. He was a young lad and big, tall, good-looking lad. Put you with an old pro, even though I was in
if you don't mind, he almost was going for an American version of you. You know, this better
Yes.
than you. You know, I went to Harvard.
The thing was with him, it was all real.
Right.
Whereas mine, that was just a character.
Right.
But he was, you know, educated at Harvard and was intelligent lad. You know what I mean? And so I was put with him so he can listen to me, travel with me, get in the ring with me, do his thing. I can be on the apron or managing him, calling stuff to him, helping him, trying to get him to where he needs to go, because they've obviously got other, you know, plans for him. I'm just a part of that. So that was how we ended up. I remember the same thing with Paul Burchill when they made him into a pirate. And then I'd been sort of just doing whatever I was doing. I was just playing all, well, I was just playing all me for a while in trunks and boots and wrestling whenever they needed me on TV. But I was wrestling whoever, anybody who's got the history of live events I wrestled everybody from the top of the bottom and I don't ever want to say the bottom of the bowl, from first match to last match. I was all kinds of stuff.
Sure.
I could fit in anywhere, right? But I'm just a bit player in that show. I'm not a star of that event, of anything. I'm just a bit player. And occasionally, because of a character, it's like when I was the commissioner, I would be in a lot of main events because of 6-man tags. And I was, you know, I wasn't doing that much on TV. But when you want a 6-man tag and you need a foil because the 5 others are top stars and you've got somebody like me who's a commissioner and can wrestle, perfect person for it. So there's a lot of my earlier stuff in the 2000s where I was in all kinds of main event, live event stuff, or a part of a lot of things that people who only watch me because of watching TV probably have no clue about. So I've stood across the ring from a lot of big stars at certain points in different, whatever I was doing at the time. Well, Chris, that was the thing with Chris. It was now whatever I'd been doing before that, it was, I can't, you might know more than me, but there's other people who know. It's probably just going out there as me, William Regal, who's got some credibility as a wrestler, wrestling whoever, whenever they needed me to. And then, oh, here's this young lad from Harvard. Let's put him with one of the few people who he's quite happy doing what he has to do. And we know can teach him and can guide him and can get to where he needs him to get him to. And unfortunately for Chris, he got injured. And I was in that match, and that was just that's his story to tell, and it's an unfortunate thing, but it led him on to using his education and doing a lot of good with it. So things are always going to work out the way they work out. So
that is very true.
Right. So that was why, you know, and back to the Paul Burchill bit, when they made him a pirate, all of a sudden you needed a foil. Same